This is Mitch, and welcome to the 1000houses.com podcast. I'm here with Nathan Amaral, and we're going to be talking about, among other things, investing overseas. This guy invests in Portugal, Uganda, and the United States. And I have 1,000 questions running through my mind because this is an original topic because I don't know anyone investing in Portugal and Uganda and the United States as a general plan. So I'm excited to talk to Nathan. How you doing, Nathan?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me here, Mitch.
Now, we already know he's crazy because this guy's like, man, spread out. But I do want to pay homage to my sponsor, livecom.com, livecomm.com. If you want to know how I have managed to have the last 200 houses only be on the market for like 4 days average, then check out livecom.com. See how I tied it to a social media site. I pay no advertising bills to speak of, and I pay no signs in my yards. I use no signs anymore. Signless sales for real estate. New concept. Check it out, livecom.com. Watch the video on the front page and know that it's for almost any business can use this. livecomm.com, as in live communication. All right, we paid the bills, Nathan. So now let's get a little background on you, like they always do. It's kind of the standard format. And first thing, and it is important, we need to know who the hell you are and where you came from and kind of your background, so we can start to compare ourselves to you and figure out if we have a chance in hell of investing in Uganda and Portugal.
Oh my goodness. Well, you said it so best, like when you mentioned not the average investor's plan. And I'll tell you what, investing in 3 different countries, wasn't the original plan. I started out investing 15 years ago. My ex-fiance's dad kind of pushed me into the seminar world. Basically, he gave me that famous book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. You're familiar with it, right? So he said, if you want to marry my daughter, you have to read this book. And so I read the book, took some notes. And after that, he ended up taking me into more seminars, more real estate seminars. That's what was really popular at the time, not these virtual ones that we got going on these days. But and that just kind of really fired me up. He knew that my entrepreneurial flame was ready. And I at the time I was really broke. I was about $60,000 in debt, and I needed a way out of that plan, this rat race plan. So as I got exposed to the real estate investing, I was a student. I basically went to the seminars, learned a bunch, spent a bunch of money on courses and trainings. But it wasn't until I hired a coach that actually flew out to my area in Massachusetts and Rhode Island, and literally flew out there and showed me how to get over my fear to have a breakthrough and make my first offers and close my first 2 deals. When that happened, that's when everything changed for me. I went from wholesaling real estate to, gosh, I feel like I've done so many different strategies. The only one I'm not good at, Mitch, is rehabbing houses. I just personally don't like rehabbing houses.
Well, that's a good one not to be good at, because that's where all the trouble and all the risk is, and all the time. So,
yeah. Right. Yeah. It doesn't really work for my lifestyle. Like, I realized after my first few rehabs and they didn't go so well, I was like, do I really want to be doing this? Do I want to be tied to a location? And that's when I really didn't want to do that. So that's when I stopped.
Yeah. So you got a high school degree, college degree, what?
Yeah. I went to school locally in Massachusetts, got a degree. I mean, got into politics, won an election, lost an election. And I was actually at a crossroads. That was another crossroads. It was like, do I go into politics or do I continue this real estate investing business? And I decided to stay in real estate.
Thank God.
Oh my God. Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. So I'm glad I did, because, oh man, I can't imagine where I'd be today if I went the other road. But yeah, that's a little bit of my education background. But I'll tell you what, Rick. Go ahead.
You got family, kids, married, what? Tell us.
Well, yeah. So over the years of investing, I actually, very interesting. That's kind of what brought me to Uganda. So when I was, in my early 20s, I was like, oh, I'm not getting married till I'm 40, and all that kind of stuff. Well, interesting enough, when I left North Carolina in 2013, I went traveling for a little bit. And then I spent 2 weeks in Uganda. So to kind of fast forward here, I went to Uganda for 2 weeks to go meet a friend, an old friend of a pen pal that I was writing letters to. As kids, we were writing letters to each other. So when I came to Uganda, she picked me up at the airport, and gosh, within 2 weeks, I met her family, her friends, and I made a decision. Mitch, you know what it's like to make those quick take action decisions. The day before I left to go back to the U.S., the day before I left, I went out. I quietly, without her knowing, bought a ring, asked her to marry me, and she said yes. So I literally the next day flew back to the US. I sold everything I had, and 30 days later I moved to Uganda. And that was back in 2013.
And so you're married now and have children, or what?
Yeah, I'm married with 3 kids. Yeah.
Okay, so what a fairy tale story for that young lady. Like the man
Yeah.
came from America and left everything and came to Uganda. You know what I mean? I don't know. Seems
Yeah.
kind of romantic to me, buddy. I don't know. I'm not the most romantic guy in the world, but
Yeah, man, it was great. It was just one of those moments, those moments, Mitch, where you're like, if you don't take action, you're going to regret it later. It was one of those moments. I felt that so many times in my past, and I said, no, this I can't. I have to make a decision. I must do it, and I did.
well, so that's one of the signs of a successful entrepreneur. I mean, people have described me as ready, fire, aim forever. I'll figure it out later. I gotta drive my stake in the ground. I gotta take this girl off the market. Like now, I'll figure everything else out. Or I gotta take this property off the market. I'll adjust the crosshairs on the scope later. I just need to figure out I just need to get on the page. Like we'll zero down.
Exactly.
So
we'll figure it all out later. Exactly.
Yeah. I'm a jumper.
We have
I forgot my parachute. Holy shit.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
I'm not condoning it. I'm not telling you that's the way you ought to be if you're out there listening. I'm just saying there's people out there that live like that, and it is survivable too. Everyone learns.
Right.
People say adult attention deficit disorder, ADD. You know what I mean? Should be turned into ADG, attention and deficit gift, because the person that learns how to manage ADD can be a badass, because he can keep a lot of balls in the air. You know what I mean? Like,
you make a good point, Mitch, because I don't ever agree like, oh, you always have to be this certain type of person. I mean, I've seen very analytical people do very well in real estate, and they just have their systems down. I think at the end of the day, no matter which, background or which communication style you have or whatever it is, at the end of the day, you have to take some form of action. You have to take those steps forward. Otherwise, nothing happens.
Okay. I agree 100%. Let's go back to Uganda. So you go to Uganda. First of all, why the hell did you go visit Uganda?
Well, so that's where my friend was. She's Ugandan. My friend is Ugandan. So so we were pen pals, and she lived in Uganda and I was living in the US. She's Ugandan. So that's why I went there. Like I said, I just fell in love with the culture. And I just fell in love with everything, man. I just really, really love this place. It is a piece of my heart is here. So can't explain it, but that's what it is.
Would you ever imagine in your wildest dreams?
Never. It's interesting growing up, because I'm a traveler. I love to travel. I'm addicted to it. And over the years, my friends always said, oh, you've never been to Africa. And I said, honestly, I don't have any desire to go to Africa. Like, there's some places in the world I don't care to go. Like, I just don't care. And I probably would never go because I have no interest. And I don't know, it was just this pull. Like, I had this pull over the years, and I was like, you know what? I should go. And it was just that window of opportunity. And I said, you know what? I'm going to go meet my friend that I've always wanted to meet. And and I think just that quick, decisive action is what, got me here.
I know, but this is a real estate show, but I'm really drawn to the romance here. So why are you pen pals with this girl in the first place?
All right. So a little bit of history about that. So my dad is a big believer in the whole, the law of the universe of give and shall receive, the law of reciprocity. So at a young age, I was 14 years old. And my dad at that time was teaching me another lesson, So we went to this auditorium where these kids came from Uganda, specifically called the African Children's Choir. So these kids come, they sing these songs, and they raise, their whole goal of being there is to raise money to help sponsor kids in their education, to help them get to pay their school fees to stay in school in Uganda.
Concert. I have been to that concert.
Yes, perfect. Yeah, so so at the end of the concert, they have all these pictures of kids on the back table. So my dad said, "Okay, you're going to give me $40 every month from your paper." I was a paper boy. I was delivering newspapers every morning. So I was a little upset at the time because I'm like, why do I have to give my money? But he's like, no, you're going to give me $40 every month. And he uses his Visa card. And so he's like, pick a child that you want to sponsor. So I had this table to pick from. And honestly, Mitch, I probably picked the cutest girl that I thought at the time on the table. And that became my pen pal, And so we wrote letters back and forth for years. And we lost touch over the years, though. We ended up, because she graduated, some letters came back in the mail. We lost touch, and then ironically, thank God for Facebook. Ironically, because we ended up finding each other through Facebook again. We connected in 2012, and then in 2013, I flew out there.
Wow. Okay, so tell me about real estate in Uganda. Is it the same as the United States? Is it different? How does it work? I mean,
yeah. So I'll tell you this, Mitch. I've lived in many different countries, and I've lived in many different states. And I have to say, Uganda, it's particularly the capital of Kampala is the capital, and there's a few other growing cities. This is the fastest growing real estate market that I've ever seen in my life. So I've lived in Charlotte, North Carolina, in Florida, where there's 1,000 people moving to Florida a day. This is the fastest booming market I have ever lived through. It's insane. I should mark every building that's being built. There's hundreds and hundreds of cranes building huge buildings. The real estate market is growing so quickly because the middle class is growing at a very rapid pace. Mortgages, ironically, mortgage rates are very high here, but the opportunity to get into a home for like 3% down or 0% down if you have a salaried job has come to the market in recent years. And that has just skyrocketed. At the end of the day, it's the middle class. The middle class is growing at the fastest rate possible. Some great partnerships with China.
That's probably because of technology, and people can actually work from far away and make decent money, right?
I would say, ironically though, I feel like Uganda is a little bit more ahead of processes in the United States. Like they do things a lot faster than it would to get done in the United States. Like for example, ATMs are still like a thing in the United States. That doesn't even hardly exist here. No one goes to an ATM to get cash. Like you don't need it. It's a cashless society, So there's some things they're very, like, for example, they skipped the whole, we used to plug the phone and they skipped like dial-up. They skipped dial-up and just went to Wi-Fi. So it's a very fast moving economy. For example, another thing is like food delivery. Food delivery in the US is a lot slower and picking up at a slower pace than Uganda. It's ironic, so you have some markets where here it's just booming, and then other markets it's just very slow. So yeah.
So they use American money, or what kind of money, and what's the exchange rate, and how do prices compare?
Sure. Yeah. No. Basically, they use the Ugandan shilling, which $1 to the Ugandan shilling is about 3,500 shillings. So, for example, I have a bottle of water here. It's 1.5 liters. This in the US would probably cost you what, $3, maybe $4, maybe. This only costs 20 cents.
Okay, I like it already. So you're taking the American exchange rate. Do you have any problem bringing money over there and buying real estate, or are you buying real estate?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have two businesses that we're operating. We have land. We're purchasing land because land is a very hot commodity right now. We're probably looking at maybe 15% growth in land consistently. And then short-term rentals. Short-term rentals is a very, very busy market here. There's a lot of people coming in for work. There's a lot of people coming in for, tourism because of COVID. So before COVID, I just want to, make that clear. It's not, tourism has slowed down, but there's a lot of people coming here for work. So they'll work here for a period of time, like 6 to 12 months, or sometimes a year or two, and then they leave. And they take up short-term rentals. The good thing is you could rent something for like 500 USD a month from a landlord. You could rent it for 500 and you could market that thing for like 2,500 clean, and probably your cash flow is probably like maybe 15, 1,800 after, expenses and everything. So you get a very good high margin here with short-term rentals. But yeah, there's the growth market. I'd say the biggest growth here is the development. There's a lot of building going on.
So what are you investing in and why?
Short-term rentals and land. The reason for land is because you can definitely hold it. You can turn around and sell it. And that's kind of a long-term plan. I'm not a builder, so I'm not into building. Again, it's just not really my forte. I'd rather be in an office,
Do they have mobile homes there? Or the equivalent thereof?
No.
Why?
No. Well, because, I would say, well, first of all, mobile homes are built out of primarily like, wood and stuff. People build over in the eastern part of the world, like Europe and Africa, they build out of cement. They're not building with wood. So the typical like mobile home or anything like that that's not common at all. Yeah.
When they build something, it ain't going away, is it?
It's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
It's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
And your insurance cost always stays low because cement doesn't burn up in flames. So your property insurance is very, very low.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. And you don't need pest control and don't have to worry about termites and all that crap. So.
Well, yeah, termites for sure. You don't. I mean, they do have some extermination companies for whatever people.
Well, I'm saying you don't have to worry about that if you have a concrete house.
No termites. Yeah, exactly.
Golly, we could probably talk for like 2 hours because I want to just keep going on Uganda. But what's the population of, what'd you say, Kampala?
Well, population of Kampala is around 4 million. There is about 46 million in the whole country, but we can really narrow it in on Kampala. So that's about 4 million people. It's very congested in the city, or it has been in previous years. They've been redesigning the city and removing street vendors from the city. They've been like putting them up in buildings. Like I said, they're building a bunch of buildings where the street vendors can now rent property and pay taxes. So that's been amazing. Like the city has really cleared up in traffic and jam. Still a little bit more chaotic. Like most people, if they're coming abroad, they'd be like, whoa, there's little bikes everywhere. If you've ever been to like Southeast Asia.
Anytime there's 4 million people on top of each other, there's, what do you expect? They all got to go to lunch at the same time. There's a problem.
Right.
Maybe they ought to have like different sections. This section eats lunch at 11. This section eats lunch at 11:30,
Mitch, what's really popular here? A lot of people don't run out for lunch. There's what's really taken off in the recent years is food delivery through like Uber Eats. Like we have Uber Eats here. We have Glovo, which is a Spanish company. But a lot of really what's common here is the food comes to people. Like there's caterers that come into office buildings and they take orders and they bring the food to the office. It's not common that people are going out.
Hey, real service. Service is dead in the United States, as far as I know. Maybe they still have some service in Uganda. All right, let's switch over to Portugal. Yeah. Why Portugal?
Yeah, so I'm Portuguese. I'm 100% Portuguese, and ironically, my dad's family and my mom's family, they're immigrants. They immigrated to Massachusetts many years ago. They immigrated from these little islands off the coast of Portugal. There's a Portuguese president, Portuguese-speaking language. They're an autonomous region of Portugal called the Azores. It's in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. So when I moved to Uganda in 2013. It was like, well, how am I going to go visit my family pretty often? So what we decided to do was every 2 years, just fly back over to the islands, which is in the middle of Uganda and the United States, and just meet there. So over time, as I was returning there, we started building up a short-term rental portfolio. And then we just finished acquiring we started a senior care facility. So we just acquired 26 apartments, a restaurant, a rehabilitation center, and a whole bunch of other stuff like, staff and care and all that stuff. So it's a senior care facility. And that's just going to keep, that's actually on automation now. We have a long-term tenant in that property who's running the senior care business. And then so we just continually fly out and meet back in Portugal.
I want to point out, he went into the senior care space. He didn't become a
Yeah.
senior care company owner. He just bought a
True.
facility that was perfect for it, and then he leased it to a man whose dream is to run a senior care thing, which is not
Yeah.
Nathan's dream. Nathan's dream, I can tell you right now, I haven't known him a long time, but I know him for just a short period of time, but I know him. His dream is cash flow. Okay. He doesn't care
Yeah.
where it comes from, what color it is. It doesn't care if it's a shilling or a peso or a dollar. He just wants a crap load of it to come into his bank account every month. And he looks for opportunities because he is a serial entrepreneur.
Yeah,
Have I got you
absolutely.
right
You
so
bring up
far?
you got me so right. And I have to give credit because over the years, Mitch, my dad and I, it's so interesting. My dad and I we're so much alike, but we never saw eye to eye with real estate. It was very interesting. But with this project, my dad saw the vision of the senior care. And I was like, oh no, like that's not me. And he's like, no, this guy, we have a partner who's the tenant, said he has the dream. You said it very well. He's like, he has the dream. Let's do the real estate. So actually, this is the first real estate transaction that I've done, even with my dad. Like over the years, my dad and I, we never really did real estate together. So it was really cool to also do this with my dad in our later years, and do this project together, which has been really fun and interesting. So
Yeah. Uh, Sometimes the old timers are stuck, they're not afraid of work. They don't mind working. They think work is a requirement. And like our generation is trying to buy as much freedom as we can and stay away from work, which is a talent. You know what I mean? It's like a sincere talent.
right. That's a great point you bring up, Mitch, because I have to say I got my work ethic from my dad. At waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning, my dad was going to his bakery and I was going to do paper. So I'd see my dad every morning, 4 o'clock in the morning every day. And even though we never really worked together over the years, we still had my dad really gave me that work ethic. And I have to say, over the years, as I got more online, as I became more online, one of the biggest things that really helped me was, or the differences was, I was going onto computers and online, and then my dad was like, "What is he doing on this computer the whole time?" That was a really interesting thing for him. So,
Yeah. So,
but you said it very well. Talent is really important.
my hat's off to your dad because he was really teaching you life lessons at a young age, and not just all about money. He was
Yeah.
teaching you about giving and giving back. Really sounds like your
Yeah.
dad was really trying in the right directions. We all know as father and sons that most of the time we're going to clash because it's just like the rule of nature, the natural law, but you
Yeah.
still get a lot from it along the way. Just
Right.
imagine if your dad hadn't have showed you some of those things, like how long would it have taken you to catch on? No one ever showed me this stuff. So my dad was about athletics and football. So I got a lot of mental toughness. I got a lot of get up when you're knocked down-ness. You know what I mean? I got a lot of that. But like no one told me anything about business or reciprocity that much. I mean, I'm not saying it was void of that, but I didn't find my butt with both hands till I was 34, and launched the whole career from 34. It wasn't that I wasn't trying. I have a stack of business cards, 2 inches thick, of things that didn't work. People ask me, how'd you get into real estate? I said, well, it's the last thing left. If I failed at that, I was just going to shoot myself because, there wasn't doing anything left to try.
Yeah.
But no, it sounds like your dad was really forward thinking, trying to give you tools beyond what school was.
Definitely.
All right. Why Portugal?
Well, yeah, I mean, basically, because like I said, we reconnect there pretty often. I've been going there since I was a kid. So every year we would take like a family trip. We'd go there, we'd reconnect with our family that was still on the island. So it was kind of just natural for me. I've been going there my whole life, even though I wasn't born there. So I just kept going there. So it was just like, well, let's just meet there. But I will tell you this, Mitch. I have to say, Portugal is a socialistic economy. Okay, it's a society of socialism, and Uganda is not socialistic; it's capitalistic, like the United States. Okay, so it was the first time I ever invested or did any type of business in a socialistic economy, and I have to say it's probably one of the worst decisions of my life. Even though we went all in on a senior care project and we tried to, grow that and it's operating. I have to say, man, it's socialism. It really chokes the life out of the entrepreneur. They penalize you for everything and they want to take everything you have. And it's really unfortunate. It's really unfortunate. It's almost like if you're not born into wealth in a socialistic economy, good luck. Good luck. So it's really difficult.
Well, nice to know. Both countries, they speak English or you have to learn a different language?
In Portugal, no, they don't speak English primarily. No, some people might speak English, but
it's
no,
kind of like Spanish,
Portuguese. Right? Yeah. And then in Uganda, there's 54 languages in Uganda because of tribes. However, the primary languages are two: Luganda, which sounds like Uganda, and then English. So the English is also a primary language. Most people speak English here.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right, so you're giving away a book called Unstoppable Confidence for Real Estate Investors. And I want you to go to 1000houses.com/, I'm just going to say Amaral, and that's AMARAL. Okay. 1000houses.com/Amaral, AMARAL. And it's called Unstoppable Confidence for Real Estate Investors. And tell them a little bit about, I think you touched on it earlier, like you were afraid to move until someone gave you some confidence. So tell us about what the
Absolutely. Yeah. So over the years, just, I went starting with myself when I was really stuck. I had a lot of mental fog. I didn't know what was holding me back from making my first offers, for closing my first deal until I had my own personal breakthrough. Then over the years, and after consulting people, and I've been consulting and coaching real estate investors over the years, once I really discovered like, hey, these people have the same fears and anxiety that I have, that's when I said, you know what, I could create a book and a program, and I coach people as well. But the reality is this book helps people get started, like mentally. How can I, get through these roadblocks? But yeah, that's I think that's the most important foundation of, starting a real estate investing business.
Okay, let's talk about some of the top limiting beliefs. Number one, I don't have money. This takes money. Okay. Am I right on that one? Is that probably the biggest one? Can you think of
that?
One
is probably I honestly can't think of it because that one comes up a lot. I think people just think of their own personal wallet or whatever's in their bank account, and they think that's what they, if they don't have the 100,000, the 300,000, the 500,000 money in their personal checking, they think they can't do real estate. So,
yeah. So just at the chance of sounding like a broken record, just let me say, if you don't have money, you are trading time and expertise in lieu of money. And what you do is you become an expert on how to buy real estate at super discount properties. Then you walk around town saying, I have the opportunity in the next 30 days to buy this property that's worth 100 grand for 50 grand. That means there's $50,000 profit in this house. Who wants to make half of 50 grand? Everybody in the room raises their hand, and then you say, okay, bring the money. Half the rooms in the hand go down, and there's still half of the room with their hand up saying, I want to put the 50 grand up so I can do my part for this partnership. You brought the deal, I'll bring the money, we'll split 50-50. Bingo, you don't need money to do properties. You need the deal. You need to become an expert on how to find the deal. It works for Corvettes, it works for apartment complexes, it works for raw land, it works for mobile homes, it works for anything that has a value that you can buy for way less than the value. It works for anything.
So true.
So next limiting belief that I hear a lot, but I teach this, so maybe I hear it because of my position. Who's going to loan me money? When you quit being partners with people, the next level is, hey, I don't need a 50% partner. That's expensive money. 50% of the profit, that's the most expensive money in the planet, right? So when you could be borrowing money at 10 or 12% and keeping all the 50,000, So the next level is, but who's going to loan me money? I don't have credit. I don't have experience. I had a bankruptcy last year. You know what? No one cares about you. You put way too much emphasis. No one gives a crap about you. The only thing they care about is if I loan the money and you don't pay me, what do I get? And if they're loaning 50 on a $100,000 house and you don't pay them back the 50, they get the $100,000 house. Maybe they would rather you be a bum because they really want the house because it's worth a whole lot more money. So it's not about you. It's about the deal. So
Yeah.
what are the other limiting beliefs? Every single one of us have them. Doesn't matter. Whenever you get to the one level, right, there's a limiting belief to the next level.
Absolutely. Mitch, one of the things you covered, some of the basic ones that people get right in the beginning. I would say one of the other ones that come out pretty much later on is just adding zeros. When I took the step from going single family houses to commercial, it was another limiting belief. It was like, wow, can I do this? Can I raise money for a deal, right? A big apartment complex. And again, it was like, well, if I've done other projects and I have a credibility and I've done this business for a while, all it is, Dave Lindahl really taught me how to do that very well. And it was just, again, another limiting belief that I said, you know what, I have to take this to another step higher. And I have to at least step out of my comfort zone. That's the most important part, stepping out of the comfort zone.
Another limiting belief. This business can't run without me. Bullshit. I had the limiting belief that the house flipping business and the rehab business was not automatable because it just was one of those businesses. A man sat me down one day and says, "You're being a little bit ridiculous, aren't you?" And I said, "Well, I don't know. Tell me why." He goes, "What's more complicated, remodeling a house or building a BMW?" I said, "Designing a BMW and building one from the ground up is probably more complicated." He says, "Great. They push one out of the back of that building every 30 seconds. And the guy that owns the business isn't there because there is no owner. It's publicly traded." So, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if they can push a BMW with all that engineering and gas and
So
regulation out the back door every 30 seconds, your business is automatable.
Yeah, that's so true. That's one thing I love about this business, though. It's become automated. I've learned to do that like virtually too. At first transitioning from local backyard real estate to buying stuff in another state or many hours away. And then that was a transition for me too. And then doing it completely out of the country, that was a whole nother transition. It was a whole nother limiting belief. Like, can I do this from Uganda? Can I do this from Portugal? And if I didn't take those steps in the beginning in North Carolina, then I probably wouldn't have done it,
Okay, because I think we're on the same page that it's not about the money, it's about the freedom.
That's right. Exactly. Exactly.
Now once you get free, it'd be nice if you had a little money left over so you could enjoy the freedom to a little higher degree. But usually if you can figure out how to get enough money to get free, there's no problem making some more money to throw the party. So
true.
Or whatever. I'm just a bad analogy, but you know what I'm saying.
No,
so
yeah.
Any advice to the new guy that's stuck in his 9-to-5 job and hates it and wants to get out?
Yeah, well, from our topic today, from like international investing, sometimes that really piques people's interest or curiosity. Like, hey, I want to invest in a different country, or which country should I pick, and all that stuff. The most important thing if you're just starting out is start in your local backyard. That's the most important part. Start in your backyard, and then after that, then I would say select a place that you wouldn't mind traveling to, or maybe you travel there pretty frequently. I have one of my clients who I've been coaching now for about 8 months or so, has been dreaming and the desire to go to Poland, and to do real estate from Poland. And it took him 8 months working with me, and we helped him flip a bunch of properties, helped him flip over 27 properties. And it was just like, it became a reality. So when I texted him this morning, he's like, "Hey man, I'm in Poland this morning." And I'm like, wow, that doesn't happen overnight. And that's a process, but I highly recommend that people, even if you're just listening to this and maybe you're stuck in that rat race, and you want to get out of it, just take those small steps. Small steps takes time. Bring in a coach into your life, get someone that you trust that can mentor you through the entire process to get you to the freedom that you're looking for.
My think on this, tell me what you think, Nathan, is to you don't have to have $1 million goals or big goals. My thing is figure out what you need. What are you making at your job that makes your life go around, provided that your job is enough money to keep your life going. If your job's underpaying you or not supporting your lifestyle, then pick a different number, but find that freedom number. The freedom number is like, if I don't have a job, this amount of money comes into my mailbox every month, and it will pay for my overhead and a reasonable life. Just reasonable. You know what I mean? Go to a movie, but I'm not talking about Learjets or anything here. And then just go to work replacing that $4,500 a month, that $5,500 a month. It's the tiniest goal in the world, because think about, you're in the United States of America, the greatest infrastructure of capitalism ever in the history of the world. And all you need to do is make a measly $3,000 to $5,500 a month come in, so you can quit your job, so that you can free up 2,600 hours a year to live your purpose, or to find your purpose, or to be your purpose in this planet. And that to me is where I like to start. Like, so there's no get rich, no $1 million, no big goals. It's like, your first goal is to learn to function without a boss and a job, because that frees up 2,600 hours a year that you can become who you're supposed to be. And what's the rule of 10,000, right? 10,000 hours, you're supposed to be one of the best in the world, right? If you put 10,000 hours, well, this is only like 4 years.
To become a master, yeah.
You know?
Yeah, exactly.
So that's why it's important, because Dale Ramsey does the primal scream when people get debt free. He would hate me.
Yeah.
I bought first 100 houses on credit cards. He'd hate me. But I'm not slamming Dale. He's got a place for a certain amount of people. Nobody fits into one thing. Like, there's all different kinds of people. There's the people that need to hear what
yeah.
There's also people that need to learn how to buy something on a credit card and get over their fear and go make a profit. But we ring the bell at my office when people quit their job for a good reason. And that reason is, I don't need it anymore because I got that much or more coming in on my own, and it's going to last. Yeah. And I know how to rejuvenate it if it dwindles or stammers, So that's, to me, is the point. And like, I don't care if you do it in real estate or Amazon reselling or Bitcoin. I don't care how you do it. I'm just trying to hear. That's what my podcast is to inspire. Is like, get that one first step done, so you can get in control of at least 2,600 hours of your life. You know what I mean? Yeah.
So true. So true.
Yeah. Well, man, I appreciate you being on. You got me interested in Kampala, Uganda now. Like, I go down there, I'll be your biggest competition. It's like, look, I talked to that on a Zoom show, and now he's down here being a pain in my ass. I'm just kidding.
It's great, man. I'm hearing all kinds of investors, like, considering, some of these capitalistic cities over here in the East, and man, it's hot markets. It's good stuff.
Well, technology's really helped those countries a lot. Like, even like the Philippines, they have a middle class now because everybody's working, all night long, because that's when America's open for business, and they're generating some real money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For themselves. They're developing a middle class because of it.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, my friend, this is Mitch Stephen with the 1000houses.com podcast. I'd like to thank everybody for stopping by to get you some Nathan Amaral, and check out doing investing in another capitalistic city somewhere in the world through your mind, and see how that works. I'd also like to thank LiveCom for being the sponsor, LiveComm.com. Check it out. I use it for many, many things. It can be used for many, many businesses, but I have got my days on market down to 4 days in the last 200 houses. It is a wonderful tool. Check it out. LiveComm.com, LiveComm.com. And we're out of here, boys and girls. We'll see you later. Bye, Nathan.
Bye.